Okay. So these are the textbooks what you have to refer. And the second one is CMOS VLSI design by um, Neil E. West, Neil H. E. West, and David Harris, Addison Wesley Publishers, fourth edition. So there are some more books which you are going to refer for some particular topics. And among these books, one book is like a textbook only, like VLSI Designing by K. Lal Kishore. It's a textbook only. So you can buy if you can. It will cover the entire portions. Otherwise, this first textbook, what is shown here, that is also like notes, very interesting description is given in that book, and the font size, everything is very good, so that you can read like a notes. So it will cover almost 4 units of your subject, is essentials of VLSI circuits and systems. Almost 4 units it will cover. And this CMOS VLSI design, number of copies are there in the library. It will cover fourth unit, and that's a big unit. Fourth unit, it is, though it is looking small here, it's a very big unit, and that is covered in second uh, what textbook. So this VLSI design by, or VLSI designing by Lal Kishore, it is a like textbook, and it covers all the units. And other books in the references cover some topics very nicely. CMOS logic design by Uyu Mehra, like switch logic and all, it will describe very nicely. And modern VLSI design by Wayne Wolf, VLSI designed by Albert Raj. This is for PLDs. You're going to use this for PLDs. And this, of course, is a very pioneer textbook. Introduction to VLSI Mid-Conway is a pioneer textbook. I mean, right in the beginning, who started the research, those people have written this book, which I think one or two copies are there in the reference. Just if you are very much interested, you can go through that. And John M. Rabia also, it is useful for memories and this the fourth unit. Okay, so let me start the introduction part now after covering this one. So I will stop this share and I will start the sharing of the PPT. Uh, where is that? Okay, so all of you are able to see this, right? Okay, so here, what is VLSI? I should tell you that VLSI is acronym for Very Large Scale Integrated Circuits. So today you're being introduced for this interesting subject. So very large scale integration. It is VLSI stands for Very Large Scale Integration, wherein you're going to study about VLSI circuits. Okay. So here, let us see from where it started, how it started, all these integrated circuits. All of you know about circuits, which you have rigged up in the laboratories on the boards and all that. But in integrated circuits, what actually we do, we build the circuits on a single chip. Okay. So in case of VLSI, we are going to have multiple components on a single chip. So let us see the classification and all later. Where first it started, all these things. So in 1940, a Bell Laboratory scientist by name Russell developed first PN junction. All of you know PN junction represents a diode. Okay, so and later on, in 1948, three scientists by name Shockley, Burdeen, Brechin, they developed this transistor. Once the transistor was discovered or invented, it was the stepping stone for all other inventions later on what happened in our electronics field, and basically in integrated circuits field. So in 1956, they got Nobel Prize for physics in this case. So in 1950, uh, we were able to use silicon by purifying that, uh, and we were able to get the properties of semiconductor actions. And then in 1958, the first computer using transistor was developed by Seymour Cray. So the computer name was CDC 1604. And in 1959, Texas Instruments developed first integrated circuits with 10 components. Okay, so the size of the chip was 9 millimeters square, and that was quite exciting at that time. Just imagine 1959. Okay, now we are in the age of 2020. I mean 2020. So many years back. And in 1959, same year, so Robert Norton Noyce improved the performance of integrated circuits, and the scientist belongs to Fairchild Semiconductor Company. This is quite a big, famous IC company. Even Texas also is a famous IC company. So they are still making ICs. Okay. So in 1968, Intel was found by Gordon E. Moore and Noyce. And this Gordon E. Moore is something like what great astrologer for our VLSI field. What he said is he predicted how this field will develop. He said every 1.5 years, what will happen? The number of transistors in a chip will double. He just predicted like that. So that became a rule or law, and that is called Moore's law. So it became Moore's law. So he just predicted, and it so happened the technology was developed in the same fashion, and they could get more number of gates. That is almost doubled number of gates in the chip every 1.5 years. In 1971, the first microprocessor naming 4004 was developed, and since then there is no stopping for our development in VLSI field. Many number of ICs have been developed, and scaling has taken place. And scaling means what? I will tell you. So the present technology is 7 nanometer technology. So here, what do you mean by transistor size scaling? It means that when we improve the technology, when we improve the processes that are involved in fabrication, like photolithography process and all that, we can build smaller devices. We can reduce the length of the device. We can reduce the voltage level that can be applied to the device, by which we can also change the gate capacitance and so on. Different electrical properties of the devices will change. When we do that, what happens is we get smaller components, and because we get smaller components, we can build a bigger circuit in a given chip size. So that is what is shown here. When we compare the MOSFET with a virus, how it is looking here. This virus is rabies virus. So using the same scale, we are able to compare it. And what you should understand here is we are designing circuits which we will not be able to see using our naked eyes. You will have to use microscope, electron microscope, to visualize these particular chips or designs. So how do we go about? So we need not worry about, because all the design aspects are taken care by software tools which will scale for our proper visualization, and we can design comfortably. And once we design, we have to transfer the design to fabrication unit, and they will design all the requirements like mask size, everything, and then they will do the fabrication. So here in the graph, right from 1970, how the development took place and how the technology improved is shown. So here, technology means what it shows here is the length of the gate in a MOSFET. So the length of the gate kept on reducing as the technology improved year-wise. And now we are in somewhere around 2020. The present technology is 7 nanometer technology. Just you imagine, here we are somewhere in 10 micrometer when we started, and now we are in 7 nanometer range. So that's a great journey for VLSI industry. And almost uh, none of the industries have developed in such a pace except automobile industry. So here, when we consider this growth, and when we consider the designing and marketing of these chips, there are some issues what we have to worry about. Issues means what are the challenges? So there are different types: microscopic and macroscopic issues. So microscopic means pertaining to the smaller size. What are the challenges that we have to face? So in the microscopic level, we are worried about how speed can be improved. And you should know that when the size decreases for the component, the speed of operation of the component increases. That's a plus point. But when you incorporate multiple devices in a chip, then what will happen? The power dissipation in that particular chip will increase. Why? Because it has now more number of components. So you should somehow take care to see that it doesn't heat up the chip, and it doesn't melt the chip. So you should provide proper packaging which will absorb the heat. And then how do you do the connection between the multiple components? Even the interconnections also should be very, very, very thin. And it should not give rise to delay. It should not give rise to reduction in the voltage levels. All these things you have to take care. And then in case of noise, how do we protect these ICs from noise? How we can make reliable chips? What are the problems in manufacturing? And how the clock can be distributed for different parts of the circuit? All these things we have to take care. And in case of microscopic issues, what are the microscopic issues that we come across in case of VLSI marketing or even development, VLSI circuits development? So time to market. What do you mean by time to market? See, from the time we design and we bring it to the market as a product, um, there is a lot of time gap. Okay, this time gap should be reduced. Why? Because of many players in the market, many companies are there, each one competing with other. So today if you are bringing a very good version of a mobile phone into the market, and with a high price, um, say 20,000 for one mobile phone, and if tomorrow another company brings it with the same performance mobile phone at 10,000, naturally people will buy that one, not your phone at 20,000. So likewise there is a huge competition, because of which you need to reduce the design time and the time taken for it to be brought to the market. So you have to take care of the complexity of the gates involved, and you have to take care of higher levels of abstraction, because you are dealing with subsystem level, then subsystem level, then you should go to block level, and what are the functional blocks, then what are the gates, what are the components they are required, all these things. There are multiple levels of abstractions. And how to test the chips, and how to reduce the time of testing, how to provide testability features within the chip. All these things you need to worry about when you do the manufacturing of the chips. And whether we can use the design again and again, whether we can transfer design. I mean, suppose one block is designed using mental graphics, another design is used CAD, design using cadence, whether we can combine all this type of designs, and why to do designing from the scratch again and again. So all these things come into picture. So you need there somewhere standardization for adopting when you have to share the designs from product to product. Okay, I think 10 minutes is there. I will try to cover. Otherwise, we will extend another. I'll create another meeting and I'll share it with you. Okay. So, in this case, when you think of classification of ICs, first that comes to the mind is small scale integration. Small scale integration (SSI). Here, one chip has only uh, gates equal to 10 or less than 10. So, what are the examples for such integrated circuits or chips? So, that is nothing but a simple NAND gate chip, OR gate chip, AND gate chip, 7410, 7400, 7402. All these are called or they are classified as small scale integrated circuits. Next, medium scale integrated circuits that has number of gates ranging between 10 to 100. So examples, counters and all that. Okay, shift registers, counters, all multiplexers, all will come there. And large scale integrated circuits, yeah, counters, I think, yeah, counters, you can you can consider it in LSI. So based on the size, again based on the bit number of bits and all. So large scale integrated circuits have number of gates around 10 raised to 4 gates. That means above 100 up to say 1000. Okay. Coming to very large scale integrated circuits, you have the chips in the range of 20,000 to 10 raised to 6 number of gates. 20,000 to 10 raised to number of, sorry, 10 raised to 6 number of gates. So this is where we are concentrating. So what are the examples for this VLSI chips? The examples are microprocessors, microcontrollers, and so on. Okay, in that range, if you have complexity, what are the chips? Such chips come under VLSI. So further, if you want to know, you have ULSI, ultra large scale integration, wherein you can expect gates more than 10 raised to 8. And then you have giant large scale integration. So that is all again I mean upcoming technology. So here, in case of this one, uh, you you know Moore's law. Moore's law explains that or tells that every 18 months the number of gates will double. Okay, and there are multiple logic families which are used to implement the integrated circuits like TTL, transistor transistor logic, CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor, ECL, emitter coupled logic, then gallium arsenide, that is basically used for high frequency applications, So mostly we are going to concentrate on CMOS, complementary metal oxide semiconductor logic family. So what is logic family? It is like all the circuits which can be built in a particular style come under one logic family. So in CMOS, we will be using a P MOSFET as well as N MOSFET in one particular chip. Okay. So I think let we have how many more minutes? Let me see the time. Okay, another 6 minutes are there. So here we see the figure of wafer. A wafer is the starting what layer which can be used to develop the integrated circuits. So in each wafer there are multiple square portions which gives rise to one particular chip, as you see here. So the size of one chip can be uh, different. That is, in this case, what I am showing, it is 1.5 centimeters by 1.5 centimeters, and the dia of the wafer is 20 centimeter. This is made of silicon, and here the chip is connected to the what external board using this bonding wire and the pins. These are the pins. So this is the black color is the what packaging material, and rectangles are bonding pads. So this is again the how the growth has taken place, and using different chips they have told processors. Okay, now we have Intel processor with multiple cores in it and operating at several gigahertz, right? Huh? 3.5 gigahertz around I mean processors are operating. So that you should know. Okay, that is the development that has taken place right now. So this also what same thing highlighting in terms of transistors. Hmm. So right now we are using gallium arsenide, and the device feature size means the size of the gate, that is around 7 nanometer now, not around, it is 7 nanometer. If you think of global semiconductors and even what IBM, Intel, they are all in the I mean technology or of manufacturing 10 nanometer or 7 nanometer size MOSFET. In the sense, gate size is 7 nanometer or 10 nanometer. It's not the entire MOSFET size. MOSFET size will be slightly bigger than that. Okay, slightly bigger than that. So let us see what is gate, what is MOSFET, and all that in detail. Okay. Now what you can see in the picture is a wafer, the starting chassis for all the chips to be made, and it is all of different sizes based on what type of chip we are making and what is the technology involved, right? Okay, this is a 4004 microprocessor, and a Pentium microprocessor photograph, and this is again the growth that is taking place in terms of die size with respect to year. Hmm? One die is one square portion here. What I showed now here, uh, one square portion is one die, DIE. Can you see here? One big microprocessor. It's all on a single chip. Okay, so that's about this one. So right now I will take all of you switch on your videos. I will take a photo shot, screenshot. I will take a screenshot. All of you please switch on your videos. If I yeah, yeah, I will take say print screen. Next, all of you please switch on. Many of you are not switching on. Your attendance will be lost if you don't switch on. Now attendance will be taken care very strictly, please, all of you. It's not like previous summer how you could get on by switching on and going away. Such type of things you don't do it now, please. Okay. Here I see in the 182414B56 456, all of you please switch on your videos. Many of you are not switching on, means your attendance will be lost.